Thank you. Okay, Jeff, you have been in law, politics, and policy. You have held high-level jobs at MySpace and also serving as general manager of digital media at the NFL before taking your current post as president of Whalerock Industries. Those are big institutions, in some cases with their own theme music. And here you are on a panel that is Kim Kardashian Network president. How did you get in that chair?
I got lucky.
Yeah.
The short of a much longer story is I was at the NFL, and which is an incredible institution and place to work, and the fans are so avid that they literally manifest tribal behavior, right? They dress a certain way. There are feeding rituals associated with the NFL. And the affinity really starts at the club level. You're a Rams fan, you're a Raiders fan, what have you, player, and then league. And I became properly obsessed with Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck, for those who don't know, had been on Fox News, had been making several $1 million a year, and went to Roger Ailes and effectively said, listen, I want to own my own content. I don't want to get notes. I want to do this my way. I'd love to stay with you and do that. And Roger said no, probably very politely to him, and he left and he started The Blaze. And Ron, he got to a point with this direct-to-consumer offering, charging $10 a month for what was effectively his old TV show, where he had 300,000 subscribers. Now, math's not my strong suit, but 300,000 at $10 a month, it's about $36 million in top-line revenue. You layer advertising, merchandising, events, every other revenue stream on top, he's doing pretty well. And so I was asking the question, could the NFL clubs pull this off? I ended up going to talk to Lloyd Braun, who had run ABC, had run media at Yahoo, and had started this company as a cross-platform media company, really with the vision of let's be in every area of media, so when it converges, let's be ready. And he had in parallel become obsessed with what Glenn was doing and was asking the question, is there a set of influencers, brands, celebrities, pick your noun, who could do a version of this in this new world?
So where are you now? How many of these influencers have you built channels around? How many of them are up on the air? How many people are looking at them?
So we've launched with 4 of the 5 Kardashian-Jenner sisters. The 5th one will launch soon. We're up with a young crossover artist named Tyler, the Creator, who's primarily known as a rapper, but is a graphic designer, a fashion impresario, sort of a Renaissance man. And we have a deal with Howard Stern as well. You should expect to see something from that next year. And then some other things that are coming we haven't announced yet.
And what does it cost to subscribe?
Each one's bespoke. So in the case of the sisters, each one is $2.99 a month for a subscription. In the case of Tyler, it's $4.99 a month. There are companion experiences and offerings that we have launched in some cases that are coming in others, which are either free for subscribers, have subscriber benefit, or are ancillary to the core business.
Can you give us a scale of the size of the audience? I mean, how many people are subscribing, broadly speaking?
I can't, but what I can tell you, and George was just on talking about the economics of video, and we're able to produce content and experiences at a fraction of the cost of what a traditional media producer would do it, but at the same quality. And we can turn it around and get it up, in some cases in minutes, certainly within hours. So the path to profitability is straightforward. And I don't know what the actual record for simultaneous live streamers on Periscope or Meerkat is. I'm betting that the sisters' top live streams behind a paywall are getting more than you would see on the top ones.
Do you need mass audience then to make it work?
You don't need mass audience. We're not programming for a mass audience. We're programming for, if you think about a brand or an artist or an influencer's fan base as a set of concentric circles with the tribe being at the center, we're first programming for the tribe. We are then beginning to program further out. So I'll give you an example. Kylie has a radio station, 24/7, 365, live streaming radio in her app. She's the DJ. She's curating the music. Kathy was talking about human curation, very important. Her friend Jordan now has a show which is differentiated from the rest of the experience. And we're beginning to program a little bit more broadly beyond Kylie's core tribe as we're bringing in other influencers to program different aspects of the experience. We're not going ridiculously far afield. We're not going to be streaming an NFL game in Kylie's app. That doesn't make any sense. But thinking about who else could come in and help curate these experiences, that's what we're doing.
Maybe tailgating tips, possibly.
Absolutely.
All right, so I think we have a few images that will give people an idea of what the programming looks like. And let's start with this first one.
Yeah, so this is just an example. One of the things that we saw in the research early on with the sisters' audience is they want to understand how to get the look. So Kylie, who is 18, it's Cop My Style. For Kim, who's not 18, it's Get the Look or Shop the Look. But what we do is we break down the outfit from the day before and then how to get the more affordable version of it. So if Kylie is wearing, I don't know, a $1,000 pair of pants there may be a $70 H&M version of those pants, which is then shoppable through this experience.
Let's go to the next image. What do we got here?
So one of the things that all of them are very focused on is giving back to their fans and developing that much closer relationship and giving access to people, not just the perception of access, but actual access. Kim came to us before we even launched and said, hey, I'd love to bring, maybe a dozen, 2 dozen of my subscribers to LA for my birthday and throw a birthday party with them and spend a morning with them. So that's what we did. We took about 20 of her fans from around the world, flew them to LA, surprise and delight the core audience.
Next image.
So we're doing series in these offerings. And in this case, we have a series called Chloe CD. Chloe is known for her obsession with organization, and they range in length from about 2.5 minutes to 4 minutes. And people go nuts as they see how Chloe organizes her closet or the cookie jar or what have you.
Took me a minute there.
Chloe CD.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
Okay, so Kendall is a supermodel, and she lives her life substantially on the road. And so we have a series with Kendall called From the Phone Of, where Kendall's shooting video as her day goes on. She sends it back to us. We put a rough cut together, send it back to her for approval, and then it goes up usually within 24 hours. So it's really a behind-the-scenes look at the life of a supermodel.
Next.
So this is the greatest cooking show of all time. It is literally the best cooking show anywhere in media today. Putting it up against Rachel Ray, Mario Batali, like bring it, come on. That's Bonnie. She's there with Tyler's friend Taco. And they're making food that real 18-year-olds would be making in their kitchen. So my favorite episode is the prison spread episode, but there's a peach cobbler episode which people like. And
does it come with a fire extinguisher?
No.
Okay. Next.
So this is the last one. This is the Jellies, which is broadcast quality animation written by Tyler and his co-writer Lionel. They both are two of the voices in it, but there are other voices in it as well. The audience is losing their minds for this, and what's particularly interesting about this to me is this will have a second window on linear television, a third window on paid SVOD, and then a fourth window on free internet. So we're taking what we know about traditional media and thinking about how you window this to maximize the value. You also start seeing apparel, merchandise, plush toys, et cetera, as we look to borrow from these other models and apply them here.
Let me ask you about kind of the decision, about the universe of figures who could support a channel like this, because I think there were probably not many people who kind of looked at American society 2 or 3 years ago and said the problem was a shortage of material about the Kardashians, right? I mean, that was probably not on the list of kind of big concerns, and yet you saw something about their connection to an audience that said, yes, we could do something even more immersive. So what are the qualities you think? I mean, there are a lot of celebrities in the world. There are music artists, there are athletes. What are the unique qualities that support this kind of immersive experience?
So there are about a dozen variables that we look at. That map a lot down to the avidity of the fan base. Do they really manifest tribal qualities? Is there a proven penchant of the audience to pay for content and experiences related to this individual? Do they have a substantially differentiated voice? And, on the one hand, you almost can't pick up a celebrity magazine without seeing a Kardashian or a Jenner, not just in it, but on the cover. On the other hand, they are arguably the most mediated people in history. And now they are unmediated, and they are providing direct access to their lives, to their worlds, to their interests, to the core of their fan base.
Is it limited totally to celebrities? I was thinking about, say something, could you do this for business executives? Think of Jack Welch 30 years ago.
Sure.
He was at the peak of his fame.
Yeah.
Could you create something like this, if someone like that existed today?
Yeah.
Could you create it for a different audience?
Yeah, I mean, when I went to law school, the best piece of advice before I went was the first answer to every question is, it depends. The second question is on what, and you have to be able to answer that. So it depends. A lot of it does come down to the willingness of the influencer to do the work, right? Because if it doesn't feel authentic, if it isn't actually authentic, it will fail. If the individual isn't willing to provide that real access, that real intimacy, we don't have a point of view on how to program that meaningfully so that people are getting 3, 4, 5 times the value of what they're paying for this experience. I mean, there is literally unlimited content available now.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot, in the span of your lifetime, you could not watch, listen to, read everything that's out there. Not even close. So, and that's all free. So if you're going to actually put down a credit card or put your thumb down, right, what compels you to do that? For the right business person, for the right politician, for the right sports figure, whatever, maybe, but it depends.
So let me ask you this. I mean, this would not work if you had a new show idea that no one's ever heard of. But we're 5, 6 years in on Game of Thrones or Walking Dead or some other program that has a fanatical fan base that spends hours after each show immediately reading all the recaps in Entertainment Weekly and the New York Times and the Atlantic and everywhere else, and really would kind of talk about this forever. I mean, there's literally a show on television talking about The Walking Dead.
Right.
So why, if a show can achieve that level of cultural critical mass, is there a point coming in the next few years where The Walking Dead producers walk into AMC and say the same thing that Glenn Beck did? I don't need notes. Why do I need you? I could create a channel. I have enough of a fan base. I can create a channel for Walking Dead, Talking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, everything else. And people will send me $8 a month, and that'll add up to a lot more money. Is that world coming, or a Shonda Rhimes channel?
It's potentially coming, and it's probably in isolated cases where the brand has already been built and that fan base has been built. I'm forgetting the title, but there was a major executive in town who went after a franchise that was ending and said, we will fund a 2-hour film to wrap this up and go direct to consumer with it because we've done the research and we believe that we can get enough people to pay $10 for this direct to consumer offering. I mean, look, Vimeo is doing a version of this with new series that are launching or that have launched on YouTube and now are going to paid. George is going to be doing a version of this with full screen with their SVOD offering, their paid SVOD offering. So potentially, but the hard part is, as most of us know, is if you're producing a show that is $3, $4, $5 million an hour, right, or a movie which, not including the marketing budget, is a $30 million movie, boy, you better be sure enough people are going to pay the right amount of money, otherwise you're going to take it back.
Right. So, and kind of the flip side, the problem of success of what I'm describing is if this works, this model works, we will see a proliferation of channels around at least personalities and maybe someday shows or kind of franchises as well. Does that then create the need for consumers to have someone to bundle it? I mean, are people going to find all of these individual offerings? Yeah,
I mean, the great unbundling is beginning. The great rebundling is actually beginning in parallel, and there is little, if any, question that you will see micro bundles emerge. Now that may be a Star Wars bundle, it may be a Disney bundle, right? And how everyone packages this. It's the Wild West. And that's part of the fun part of this is we're dealing with a world of tremendous unknowns. You get to 80% certainty, you go, you look at the data, you look at how the audience is responding, and you pivot in the moment as you need to.
Although as you were talking, I was just thinking that, in many ways, the celebrities that are availing themselves or that you are creating channels around, they didn't become celebrities that way, right? They had to go through the old transmission belts in order to become well known enough to create their own personally branded. So you could not exist, I think, this model could not exist without other means of building an audience in the first place.
Yeah, I think it'd be very difficult to build a brand from scratch with a direct-to-consumer transactional model as the core of the business plan without a brand or an influencer having been already built to a certain level through other means. Maybe. There are a handful of really smart marketers out there who can create enough viral interest in something where you could tease people into it. In a way, Kickstarter's kind of a version of that, where people are putting up a treatment or a teaser, and people are committing dollars against it in exchange for some value in early access. But it's tough.
Yeah. Let's bring in the audience for a question. If anybody has a question for Jeff? Because I have more, if not. Yes, over here. Hold on.
I'm still Terrence McNally. Have you done anything with the NFL teams?
No.
That was your brainstorm, and
No, and no.
more interesting part is what you're not saying.
No, I mean, look, the folks at the NFL are among the very smartest business people and marketers in the world, and they will create the offerings that are in the best interest of the fans and of the league, and they do a lot of analysis before they jump. It's a Tiffany brand, and you don't jump too quickly when you're at a Tiffany brand.
You know, I was going to ask, what is your editorial role? Do you exert any editorial standards control over what people put up?
So our deal with our partners is no notes. We're like the antithesis of a big media company, right? That said, we will suggest ideas. We will certainly give them information based on the data. There's a piece of the Jellies, the animated show on Tyler's app, where I called Tyler's manager and I said, listen, there's something in here where you want it in, it's staying in. But if we ever want to sell an advertiser into it, this is the thing that will probably stop them, and it's your call. But it's my job to at least let you know that this may become a blocker. But it's really the talent as the network president. And in the case of the Kardashian-Jenner sisters, they are more the talent front and center. In the case of Tyler, it's more programmed through his lens. And I would really encourage folks to check out Tyler's app. The Kardashians, I know you all have downloaded and you're obsessed with. But whether it's the cooking show or it's the Jellies or it's the one live action scripted series we have in there, or it's golf news, which there are a handful of us old enough in the room to remember Kurt Loder and Tabitha Soren, and this is the 2016 version of that.
Well, great, Jeff. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ron.
Appreciate it. All right.